Hey guys, Future Alan here. Just want to cut into this video. I'd already had it done, edited, finished, ready to go, and then I went riding this past weekend and I really got to try out these handguards. And I want to show you a couple clips here that if this doesn't show you what some good handguards will do, I don't know what does. So check this out.
Oh, well, that hurt. How'd the new handguards do? How'd the handguard do? Pretty good. Oh, good Lord. There's 2 downs. Damn it.
Now, if these were the stock handguards, we would have been in trouble. We definitely would have broken the handguards, probably would have broken some levers and who knows what else. These handguards did amazing, and there's not even a scratch to show for it. So if that's not a testimony, I don't know what is. So if you see anything that you like in this video, like, comment, and ultimate compliment for me is to subscribe to the channel. So thank you guys for watching and enjoy. Hey guys, it's Alan, the Fireman 1028, and today we're back with our 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R, and today we're finally going to address one of the biggest complaints about this bike, is these weak-ass handguards. To my left here, your right, is I have a box from Acerbis, and this is their X Factor handguards. They're really good looking, and let's get them on the bike. All right, guys, so let's see what we got in the box here. So we have the handguards. We went with the, of course, we went with the orange with the black handguards. And here's our bars, really nice, strong bars. And then all of our mounting hardware. So let's get started. All right, guys, so our first step is that we are going to get the old handguards off the bike. You've got a number 5 bolt right here. And then you've got 2 bolts that hold the bracket on right there. Now, there is a number 10 nut on the back of that, so you have to hold that on both sides since it is a lock nut on there. So we'll pull those off, and then we'll get started on the new ones. All right, guys, so what I've done is I have loose fitted our new Acerbis left side handguard, the bracket itself. Now, I want to show you a couple things here. So this right here is the stock bolt that comes out of the factory handguards, okay? It is an M6 by 1 by 30. Now, you have 2 options to put the handguards in. You can either go with, you can knock out the factory threaded insert, which is inside of the handlebar right here. And when you do that, then you can take the Acerbis piece here. This is a threaded insert that will expand inside the handlebars. Or if you're using an aftermarket handbar, you use something like this. Now, the route I have chosen to go is instead to get, now, these are Phillips. I have already ordered some Allen head in black to actually match it, but this is all I had until the other ones come in. This is an M6 by 1 by 30 millimeters. What this is going to do is it's going to take the place in the end of the handguard for the bolt to hold in the end of the handguard. Now, you're going to have your bolts that's going to bolt mount up over here, which is really going to provide your protection. But then I have this one right here. Now, again, this is a Phillips, and Phillips is definitely by any means is the ideal bolt to use. But that'll do in the meantime until I can get a flat machine screw that has the same taper on it in an Allen head configuration like this. So again, M6 by 1 by 30. Not a Phillips, but an Allen head. Now, a 25 would also work. The 30 is a little bit long, and you got to kind of work that last little bit. So an M6 by 1 by 25 would also work. But you can either do that, or you can try to knock out the threaded insert, which it's everyone I've done in the past has been an absolute bear to do the threaded insert. Now, my goal eventually is, well, not my goal, I'm going to eventually have an aftermarket handlebar on there. So I'll save these threaded inserts for when I put the aftermarket handlebar, Renthal, whichever bar we end up putting on there, but I'm going to save those for when we do that. Right now, as a temporary measure, we're going to use these screws right here, which will hold it in place and not have any issues, but just want to throw that out there. All right, guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bracket that holds the inner side of the guard, and we're going to put it on the handlebar. Now, you'll have to use, the kit comes with these spacers, so these really thin aluminum spacers, and they fit right into the channel right here. Now, you'll have to use a set of those as the handlebar width is not thick enough right here. What you'll do is you'll take it from the outside, and you'll just snake it, and you'll fit it in like that. So the kit comes with these aluminum spacers here, and those spacers are to take up any distance that's different from the handlebars. So with ours, I tried it out with having a spacer on both sides. As you can see, there's a spacer on the back side here, but there's not one on the front side. No spacers did not get tight enough. So what we did is I put a spacer on the outside bracket like this, and then left the inside bracket with no spacer. And they go together like that. That was just enough to be able to tighten down this gap, to be able to tighten this up. 2 spacers was too much, no spacers was not enough, so we got 1 spacer in right there. All right, so that'll do it for the left side of the bike. Again, there's your outside bracket here. There's your inside bracket there. 1 spacer on the stock handlebar. Now, if you're using an aftermarket bar, you might need 2 spacers, you might need no spacers. But right now, with the stock bar in this position, you need 1 spacer right there. The larger bolt goes in on the outside of the handlebars. And again, our temporary measure is to do a Phillips head screwdriver on the end of the handlebar. Now again, we're going to replace that. That is an M6 by 1 by 30. We're going to replace that Phillips head screw with an M6 by 1 by 30 Allen head bolt, which I've already ordered, and they're on their way. So as soon as that comes in, again, the other option, and I'll show you on the other side, is to go inside here and then completely drill out the threaded insert that's in the stock handlebar, which is a bear to do, or use the threaded insert that's there and just get a smaller bolt. All right, so now we're going to fit our handguard onto the bar. It's pre-curved, they can only go one way. There's 3 bolts, and it's these smaller bolts here. One's going to go here. There's one out here. And then there's another one on the side. All right, guys, so that'll do it for the left side of the bike with the Acerbis handguard. So now, again, we'll repeat the same steps on the right side, and I'll show you that threaded insert once we get on that side. All right, guys, so on the right side of the bike, we'll repeat the same process. We'll take out the stock handguards. Now, on the throttle side, you do have this spacer right here. Now, there was one on the other side, but you really don't need it. On this side here, you have this taper, or this spacer, that's got this raised edge on it. You're going to need to reuse that because that's going to allow you to keep your throttle from catching and binding on the new handguard. That's going to provide a buffer right there so your handguard does not bind. So keep this one right here. Now again, we'll take off our stock hardware. All right, so on this right side, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to loosen up our brake reservoir to be able to get out the stock handguard on there. We'll loosen it up, fit the new one in place, and then we'll tighten everything back up. So here's that threaded insert that I showed you didn't show you on the other side. So again, you can take this threaded insert and you can drill it out, you can do all that kinds of stuff and really kind of mar it up and just beat the hell out of it to use the threaded insert, to use the expanded threaded insert that comes with the bar kit, or you can just use this one that comes with it and just get a different size bolt. Again, that's a M6 by 1, and we're putting 30mm long bolts back in. All right, so now we're going to take our right side and we're going to fit it in place. Again, we already got our inside bracket on the handlebar. Now we'll have to loosen that up to get everything straightened up, but it's going to go basically. So to get everything fitted, we're going to loosely fit the bolt in place down here, and that's going to allow us to kind of get everything lined up to be able to get your bar end in place. Now again, when you have universal fit products, you have to expect a little bit of modification and kind of finagling to get everything to work. All right, now we're going to fit our M6 bolt in the bar end. Again, these are just temporary until we get our Allen head bolts. These are Phillips head. And again, they'll work for now, and we'll use those until we get our final bolts.
Nope.
All right, guys, so we got the right side bar fitted. Now, let me go over a couple things that we did. So you have to make sure you put that spacer in place. Now we still have to tighten this screw down, this last little bit right here, to hold it in place. The right side is really critical because that's where your brake lever is, and you don't want any interference. Now, there's very little. I mean, there's probably just very little, can't even put my finger in there, clearance right there. But you want it close, but you don't want it to interfere. But you also want to make sure that your throttle doesn't bind. That's why you have to have that spacer in there. On this back side here, with how the angle of the bar was, I couldn't put the spacer on the outside because it was just kind of sitting at a funny angle. It needed the bar or the clamp to sit flush there. So I put the spacer on the inside. Now I may go back and do the same thing on this side just so it doesn't look funny. But again, no one else is looking at my bike. So, and then you got your big bolt that you put back over here. So let's tighten this one down here. And again, these are temporary because we're going to put an Allen head screw of the same size, M6 by 1 by 30mm, in that spot as soon as they come in. All right, and then now there's our bar. Nice strong bar in place. No binding here. Our brake works like it's supposed to. Everything's tightened down here. Do a final tighten down on those. Then we'll put our cover on. And again, just like any good aftermarket Handguard brand, you can run it with the shields in place, or if it's hot in the summertime and you just want the protection, you can run it just with the bars themselves. So you always have that option right there. It's, it's early fall now, watching some college football. Alabama's playing on the TV right now. Roll Tide, we're losing. But you don't have to run it on there. And if you don't have it on there, it looks just good. I mean, that actually looks pretty daggum good by itself. So, but we're gonna go ahead and put them on there because the orange matches pretty daggum good. It looks awesome. And these are a 4mm screw head on these ends here. All right, guys, so that'll do it for the installation of the Acerbis X Factor handguards. Again, they are a significant upgrade over the stock handguards. And again, if it's hot in the summertime, you can take the covers off and just run them with the bars, and it'll provide you with tons of protection, because this is gonna be the first thing that hits the ground when you do, not if, but when you do go down. So if you see anything that you like, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Roll Tide, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys.